What's going on, guys? Steel here. And today, we're going to be taking a look at the Leopard 2A6. Not actually just the 2A6, kind of the whole top-tier German lineup in general. Because I couldn't actually get a decent game in the 2A6 with a couple of kills before I got A, heli rushed, or B, lol penned, or by some random tank in some dumb spot, considering that the map selection is just terrible right now. And so the 2A6 has what is a new round, which is DM53. As we all probably know, if you have been keeping up with the dev server or the podcast episode we just released. And DM53 is now the highest penetrating round in game at a maximum penetration of 652 millimeters on flat armor at 10 meters. But since we're playing with vehicles that have lots of integrated armor, sloped armor, and stuff like that, I usually like to take a look at the 1000 meter, 30 degree, and 60 degree pen, which is 530 millimeters and 363 millimeters respectively. This round will go through Contact 5 on the top tier Russian MBTs, the new T90A, the T80U, and the T72B3. However, it's not always guaranteed. The main reason why I can see it actually penetrating the tank is because of the height difference between Soviet MBTs and NATO MBTs. So you're always kind of just naturally shooting down into them, even at range, with how shells arc. It just gives that little bit of extra edge, versus if you were, say, at the equal gun height of a T90 and you tried penetrating the Contact 5, it wouldn't always work. So yeah, it's the best round in game. However, pretty much everybody has a round that's on par with it, considering the armor of the top tier MBTs that we have right now. America and Britain, again, as I discussed in the podcast, was given their new rounds, so MA29 for the Americans and L27A1 for the British, which also both reportedly are able to pen Contact 5. I don't know about L27A1. I don't have a Challenger 2, so I cannot confirm that, but I know that M829 kind of can as well, because again, shooting down into Soviet MBTs, that little bit of height and the lack of sloping that entails is pretty good. But yeah, the game in the background is on Frozen Pass, and as you can see, I got absolutely destroyed by an Mi-28 at the beginning in the Leopard 2A6. It's really nothing special about it, so that's why I'm not like too keen on getting footage in just the Leopard 2A6. Kind of top tier Germany as a whole, because this is actually my first time playing top tier Germany. The entire lineup, except for the G91R3, is a test drive. I've never touched the Leopard 2A5 before, unless you count the Swedish 122, so I do kind of have experience in a Leopard, but in terms of actually playing the German nation, I actually have not touched the Leopard 2s. But I did pretty good most of the time. These games that were recorded were day 1 and day 2 of the patch, where there was a lot of performance issues, lots of server issues, and the lobbies were just chock full of everybody spamming, trying to get their new tanks, or GEing and already playing the new tanks. So it's just been kind of a hellhole, really, of matchmaking, and I haven't had any good games. This was probably my most decent game in Germany, as I got to use practically everything I wanted to. Because the top tier, it does really come down to lineups a lot of the time, more so than the tanks themselves, but obviously I'd say all 10.7 MBTs are practically on par with each other in terms of the ammunition that they're using and the technology that they have given to them. Some tanks, like the Abrams, lacking Gen 2 thermal on its commander isn't a huge deal. It's just less eye like scratching inducing. Like, I just want to rip my eyes out when I'm looking at Gen 1 thermal on pretty much any tank. So it does get kind of annoying. Gen 2 is a little bit easier on my eyes personally, but that's just how it goes. And yeah, this entire game isn't just me running around in the Leopard, by the way. I did get a couple of air kills. I got the Mi-28, and what I believe was it G91 or something on the other side? I can't remember. Or no, I think it was a Jaguar. But yeah, my first experience the past couple days of playing German top tier, it's pretty alright. I think the Leopard 2A6 was definitely something that Germany needed in a way. On top, like to have what is basically a top tier MBT ×2 with a much better penning round. I mean, it can definitely pen like the turret cheeks of the M1A2. The Challenger 2 is still a no-go, so that's good. The Challenger 2 still has its turret armor going for it. The M33 couldn't really pen the M1A2's turret cheeks, so now that they have a round that can, you don't just always need to shoot the turret ring, although you might as well anyways. Just why not? It does the most damage. But yeah, the Germans have two proper 10.7 MBTs. The French also with the Leclerc S2, which I'll be doing a video on some other day. Let's see. The British got the two Challenger 2s. America has the two Abrams, the two M1A2 Abrams, in terms of 120 equipped Abrams. I know they have 4 Abrams, but again, I don't really see a use in the first two once you have the second two. Also, if you have like the Merkava and stuff like that, but I've talked about that plenty of times in other videos. So yeah, they've got two proper 10.7 MBTs. Everyone else is pretty much on par right now, except the Chinese and the Japanese. The Japanese fare a little bit better than the Chinese, considering that they actually have an MBT with a proper 120 and some like decent mobility, but the Chinese are using very lackluster armored ZTZ 96s. They don't have their 99s yet, which I assume at some point they will. Here, as you can see, I'm using the G91R3. I'm pretty fairly competent with Nords from using the G91R4 in the Italian tech tree, and also with bullpups, just getting used to the overall feel of the controls of guided air-to-ground missiles. See, I just popped a 122 right there. That Roland had spawn protection. Now, I think I'm witnessing stuttering on Sony Vegas right now, or Movie Studio, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if that's in the footage or if that's just Movie Studio. It's probably just Movie Studio, but I mean, again, the game was having a lot of FPS and server issues for pretty much everybody. And as you can see, I strafed both of those. Now, that Tunguska that I actually had strafed, funny enough, was the guy who heli rushed me in the beginning, who I then killed, and then he spawned in an SU-7 and suicide crashed or got killed or whatever. And then he spawned into Tunguska. He physically did not spawn into an MBT the entire match. He just basically played aircraft instead of trying to actually play a proper tank. I mean, you could say the same for me, but I did actually play a 2A6 and then a Leopard. Now that I'm using the UHT Eurocopter. But yeah, I just think it's funny that he kind of got karma where I pretty much just went full CAS on him instead. So, and honestly, my first impressions of the Tiger UHT as well, this thing is like actually overpowered, considering it's the only thing in game with fire and forget missiles. Like, it cannot defend itself with a main gun, like a close range, like the French Eurocopters can. However, Stingers are fairly decent when you're a really sneaky helicopter like this. Currently, as of, I think we're on the 4th day of the update, because today is Friday. Yeah, Tuesday, yeah, whatever. 4th day. And radar, when you are being radar locked by people, it will pretty much instantaneously crash your game if you're in a helicopter. And only helicopters. I haven't yet to hear or personally experience it happening in aircraft with RWR. For me, it was only crashing when the target radar locking me, I locked back with the sight stabilization. That seemed to be the only time I was getting the crash. Otherwise, I could fly and be radar locked fine. So I was taking a big risk here in terms of just flying around and waiting to crash, basically. Also, after I killed this poor little T-80B down here, it's really funny. Just watch chat. These Pars missiles are amazing. And the same thing with the Hellfire as well. Like, the Hellfire has limited range, but the Pars don't. As you can see, he's in Germany suffers. With this helicopter, you don't really suffer. This thing is just full on easy mode. You can just keep locking targets instantly. You don't even need to lock onto them with the sight. You can just hover over them and it'll IR lock them, and no countermeasure in the game. Not even smoke works. But yeah, first impressions of the Leopard 2A6, I'd say it's a fine addition for Germany. Their top tier overall is doing much, much better. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. Just an average game, patch week, you know how it goes. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'm Stu Wolf. I'll see you all next time.